Good morning and welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Henry Plant Museum's Music in the Museum program, a part of the SunTrust Community Connection series underwritten by the SunTrust Foundation. The museum is open, but as we continue to practice social distancing, the museum is sharing this program as a live stream performance to be enjoyed from a comfortable location of your choosing. There will be a brief question and answer session at the end of the program, so I invite you to type your questions in the chat or comment box. Music in the Museum recreates an authentic 1890s Tampa Bay hotel experience, when live music was just one of the many daily entertainments available for the guests to enjoy. Concerts were held on the West Veranda, in the music room, and in the Tampa Bay Casino. Today, we are delighted to welcome Damara Chaudhuri, an accomplished musician based in Florida with over 9 years of professional experience playing the harp. Damara has traveled all over the United States, performing her harp in solo, duet, and orchestral achievements, frequently performing with the Ocala Symphony Orchestra and the Venice Symphony. She is also a resident harpist, or the resident harpist, at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. So I hope you will all please join me in welcoming Damara Chaudhuri.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you enjoy my presentation. I'm going to start it off right now. So, thank you so much. That was Reverie by Alphonse Hasselmann. He is a famous French harp composer. He actually did play the harp, and he composed several harp pieces over his career. And he, as a harpist, made sure that he could play every single one of them so they were playable on the harp. He is my favorite harp composer, and you will hear him again on the program. I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to play Think of Me from Phantom of the Opera. I typically play classical, but sometimes I like to throw in a little bit of fun. To give a little bit of an introduction to the harp. This is my harp. This is what we call a pedal harp. We call it a pedal harp because there are actually pedals at the bottom. There are 7, 1 for each note, A through G. And I use that to adjust the key. A lot of times I will have to adjust during a piece, just like that last song. So let me demonstrate that to you right now. I will not adjust the camera right now, but if there's a question later on, I can show you more in depth. But if this is my F pedal, so here's my F. So that is what an F sounds like. If I want to go flat, I would move the pedal up, F flat, F natural, and then all the way down, so there are 3 notches, F sharp. So you can hear the pitch actually change. So and the pedals are at the floor, so I'm actually playing not only with my hands, but also my feet. And if I ever need to change the key, that is how I will change it on the harp. It is a lot different than other instruments, so it's one of the things that makes the harp unique. My harp is made of maple wood, and it has 46 strings on it. And with that, I am going to move right along and I'm going to be playing two very nice, beautiful pieces for this morning. The first one I will be playing is Oh Danny Boy, and I'm going to move right into Amazing Grace. So that piece ended with what we call a glissando, and that is one of the techniques that is the most well-known techniques for the harp. Everyone knows a harp from the gliss, and the glissando is played while I take the pads of my finger and I run my finger up the strings, which I'll show you my favorite glissando. So much fun to play, and it's so beautiful. What's really cool about the harp is that if you were back when the museum was, or sorry, when the Tampa Bay Hotel was open, you actually would hear a harp being played, almost on the regular, and they do have a harp showcased at the Henry Plant Museum. So this is actually something you would have heard at the time if you were a guest of the hotel. So, I was talking about Alphonse Hasselman before, and I have another piece by him. This is called Roue. This is one of my absolute favorites, very technically difficult, but it's very fun. So that's always a fun one. How exciting, right? So, the harp is actually pretty similar to the piano. We play very similar style music. We use the grand staff, so we play both the treble and bass clef with our right and left hands. However, obviously, you would press the key to a piano, whereas with the harp, you're going to pluck a string, as well as it's obviously upright instead of the piano, which is, horizontal. So the other biggest difference, I can play piano music, but the pianists use all 10 of their fingers, while harpists actually only use 8. We don't use our pinkies. They are not long enough to reach the string. So at most, I'm playing with 8 fingers at a time. So it's really fun because some of the composers for our time back in the classical era did not know that. So they would write these 10-note chords that were very interesting for a harpist, right? Because we only play with 8. So it's fun to see how the times have changed and how we've realized more about how the harp is actually played as composers of today. I will now be playing La Vie en Rose. So, the harp also leans back in my right shoulder, as you can see. It's actually not leaning against my right shoulder. I'm actually holding it with my legs, so it's not as much stress on my shoulder as you might think. But it is a very technically accurate, and we always want to keep our thumbs up as well. I know you can see it while I'm playing. So I'm going to now play His Eye is on the Sparrow. Whenever I am holding my strings like this, I am actually changing my pedals around so it doesn't reverberate throughout the harp, because it does kind of make a sound. So that's what I'm doing when I hold the strings like that. I'm muffling the strings. This is what I use to muffle. So if I were to... let it ring, but if I wanted to muffle it, I would put my hand there. So that is what I'm doing whenever you see me muffling my strings. beautiful. I love that piece. Well, unfortunately, I think our time is coming to an end. So I will go to my final piece. This is called Processional by Suzanne McDonald. She is a harpist and she is still alive. She is one of our famous current harp composers and performers. She works at the University of, well, she used to work at the University of Indiana. Uh, Indiana State University is what I mean. And well, that is what I meant. Indiana State University, and she performs, and she's an excellent harpist, and she composed this piece, and with Linda Wood as well. So Linda Wood, this is Processional. I misspoke. It is Linda Wood who wrote this, but they're good friends.
Well, Damara, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful music with us. What a lovely accent to the morning. We have had a couple questions come in if you are ready.
I'm here. I'm ready.
Wonderful. Well, the first one is how long have you been playing and where did you learn to play the harp?
Wonderful question. That's a great question. I get that a lot. So I've been playing for over 9 years professionally, but I've actually been playing since I was 5 years old. And I started by playing the piano. I highly recommend to play the piano. Um, it's very easy to learn the notes and the keys and the treble and bass clef on the piano because you can see it right there. And so, for anyone who's a budding musician, piano is a wonderful instrument. Then, after 1 year of playing the piano, I actually transitioned to the harp. I still played piano as well, but I really, really loved the harp, so I decided to continue on with that professionally. And I did not play in a harp this big. I played in a much smaller harp when I was younger, and then I graduated up to the pedal harp, the big harp. Um, and I absolutely love it. It's been a wonderful ride. And we reached out. My parents reached out to a harp teacher in the area who was a wonderful. She was the past Chicago Symphony Orchestra player, and she had moved to Florida. And I loved learning under her. She was amazing. So it was absolutely wonderful. And then I continued my studies actually at the University of Tampa, where I studied music as well as business, but I also studied music.
An interesting combination.
Well, I knew as a musician I would always be out there trying to sell my art, sell my performance to other people. So I wanted to have the business knowledge there as well.
Definitely a good plan. Well, you mentioned the different harps. And you mentioned that yours is made of maple. Someone asked who made your harp? Are there harp manufacturers?
That's also a great question. So this is a Ayama harp, which is actually from Japan. So they shipped it over from Japan. And I love this harp because of the sound quality and the sheer volume that I get from this harp is just so beautiful and perfect for orchestral playing. So I really need to go with a harp that had that sort of volume. But I've played on other harps. So we have a major harp manufacturer in the United States called Lyon and Healy, and that is a beautiful harp brand. I mean, that is, wonderful. I highly recommend the Lyon and Healy harp to everyone. They also sound amazing, pure volume, it's beautiful. And I've also played in college on a Selby harp, which is a French company, though they might have been bought out at this point. So, but they also make beautiful harps as well. So those are the two main manufacturers are Lyon and Healy and Selby. Mine's kind of a weird one, but I do love it. It's beautiful.
So a follow-up question to that, was it shipped fully assembled or did it have to be assembled when it arrived here?
It was shipped fully assembled. They have nice hard boxes that protect the harp and a lot of climate controlled moving of the harp. I wouldn't necessarily want to ship this harp. Whenever I go to another location, I typically try to find another harpist in the area to borrow their harp. Though it depends, sometimes that can be very difficult, so it's depending on the situation. I do have a different harp, which is smaller, called the lever harp. Same beautiful sound. It is not suitable for orchestral playing, but it's perfect for weddings, especially outside performances. Absolutely wonderful. And that I can take around the country with me, and that's usually my travel harp. Well, this harp it is very delicate.
And so the strings, are those, what are they made of?
That is a great question. Okay, so I have three different types of strings on my harp. So these right here, these are made of metal. They are metal wire. So you can hear the nice full bass volume sound. And then we have these middle strings. These are actually made of gut. Don't worry, I'm not actually touching the gut. It's wrapped in plastic. But but these are made of gut. So that is made of gut. And then I have my top strings up here, which are made of nylon. And they give a nice spring sound, right? So those are the three different types of strings on my harp, and we have three different strings, so I can accomplish the type of sound I want to play at the different pitches, at the different notes, the different scales.
Interesting. What's the life expectancy of your strings?
That is another great question. It is so for nylon, it is Not too long. They break very easily, especially if I have to travel, even going to, let's say, Tampa to Ocala. It is highly likely that when I get to Ocala, from the pressure of changing, the one of the nylon strings will have broken, or you know, part of it will just completely go out. So wherever I go, I actually carry a full set of strings. Just going outside for a few minutes, you know, can change the pressures and the tension of the strings. So these break often. These don't break as often. I would say maybe every 3 to 4 years, depending. And then though some strings are more temperamental than others, and then these are very rare to break. They stay on. Actually, it's most likely that you're going to change them out yourself before they break because they're just old and they need new strings.
Wow, that is fascinating. A lot to keep track of and master as the musician.
Yeah, definitely.
There was another question about where do you look for inspiration for new pieces to learn? Is it following a specific genre, a composer, a popular movie piece? You played something from Phantom of the Opera, which is a beautiful production. Where do you look?
So I mainly look for a lot of music that I personally like. So I will play a lot of I play a lot of classical, first of all. So I love playing classical. I was classically trained. This is how what I've always played. I grew up, you know, playing very classical and orchestral pieces. So I end up playing a lot of kind of famous harp repertoire a lot. Um, but more recently, I've been playing a lot of weddings because, of course, I play weddings, and I have a lot of requests from brides, and I always say like, you know, I can play it on the harp. Just give me a month to learn it. So, because I usually take it, arrange it myself for the harp, and then play it at their wedding, and then play it in the future. So I do play a lot of fun new music as well. I have a lot of different. So that's very a driving force is the requests that I get, which sounds great. I also enjoy a lot of Disney music, so I'll play a lot of Disney music on the harp because that's one of my favorites personally. So it's a combination of what I like personally, also classically, and then what brides may like. So that's really where I'm going.
Okay. We had a follow-up question relating to the strings that came in from Facebook. Why do different strings produce different sounds?
That is a great question. So there are two different uh, classifiers. So we have down here, these are going to be really long, right? So we have super long strings, and they're also very thick. And as we go towards the top of the harp, the strings get much shorter, and so the length is shorter, and then the width is also thinner. So that actually produces the pitches that we want. So I couldn't put a string that is very tiny and is meant for up here down here. It would not work. And every single string is its own unique width and length. Every string. So I cannot just swap out a string. Let's say I don't have an A right here. I couldn't just use a B string. I would have to get that A because it's all very particular on the harp, which is why I travel with a complete full set of strings. So that's what's producing the different the different tones, the different pitches.
And so just a little follow up on that, the material, why wouldn't a metal string work at the higher end with the shorter strings?
So a lot of it comes down to the tension of the harp. So these strings are putting a lot of tension on the sounding board, which is right here. The sound is actually coming through the sounding board, hitting against my chest, and then going out into the audience. So the sounding board would basically collapse if I were to put a metal string up here. During one of the hurricanes, actually, I always have to lower the tension on my strings because of the pressure changes, and they could potentially, if the pressure is too high, actually burst the sounding board open. And I've seen it happen before. It's crazy. There's so much tension put on the sounding board, so I always have to protect it.
Oh my goodness. And then one final question from Facebook. Is there any special conditioning needed for your fingertips?
So, I do not put anything on my fingertips. These are as is for my fingers, and it is rough. People ask me, "Your fingers hurt when you play?" And I say, "Always, right?" You just get used to the pain. You play a lot, and it's just always there. But it's for the love of the harp, and you do build up some calluses along the way. However, when I play a lot of glissandos, those calluses will get ripped off, and so it's not as fun depending on the show or the performance I'm doing. But it's a labor of love, but isn't a lot of things.
Well, and you make it look so easy. So thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge and again your skill with us this morning. So I'll just one last check. It doesn't look like we had any more questions come in. So Damara, again, thank you. And thank you to our audience for joining us. They had wonderful comments about your performance. And
Wonderful.
so thank you everyone for joining us for Music in the Museum. And one last thank you to SunTrust Foundation for supporting this program. And it's with the support of our underwriters, donors, members, and visitors to the museum that we are able to continue our educational programming, exhibits, and preservation of original Tampa Bay hotel objects. So if you'd like to make a donation to support the museum's programming, please click the link in the comment box. And I hope you'll join us on Facebook or Zoom this Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Upstairs Downstairs theater performance of Edith Roosevelt. So again, Damara, thank you so much. And everyone, I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you so much for having me, Heather. I really appreciated being here this morning, and thank you so much for everyone who tuned in.
Our pleasure. Take care.